Welcome to Stardust.
There's Majid. We should leave this data cache with him first, like Tomcat asked.
All right! Tomcat asked me to take that off your hands and pass it on to them later. Thanks for getting it to me. I won't pester you about what it is. I know things are always very hush-hush with Tomcat. I'll make sure they get it later today.
Excellent! Thank you.
You again? All right, I'll let you in. But you better stay out of trouble.
Hey, I heard from my friends down the street that the protesters are gone. Must have been you, huh? All right then. I'm willing to give you the benefit of the doubt and return the favor. Tomcat said that if you got to an old abandoned access node, you might be able to find out what happened to Hayden. I called up a buddy who's on night shift for Parallax tonight. He can buzz you in, but if anything happens, you broke in. This puts us at about even. Don't think about drawing any more debits for a while. Good luck. Keep me out of your shit.
This is the place Tomcat said we should head to. Unassuming and quiet. I'll be honest, I don't think I would be in this section of the city without Jess giving us the all clear. The crime statistics are quite alarming, so let us get done with our errand here and move on to safer ground. I am no coward. I resent the accusation. After all, I didn't see you arguing against doing that favor for Jess in the first place. But I don't feel like debating the merits of being prudent with you. Tomcat is waiting for us, and maybe we can wrap this whole investigation up once and for all.
Parallax Walk, AN-19 security.
Hello?
Yes, can I help you? I was wondering when you'd get there. You're at the access node on Cesar Chavez in Indiana, right?
That's right.
Good. Be quick. Don't touch anything. Got it? This conversation never happened, and you're on your own if you get caught out there. I hope you find what you're looking for.
This is it. Let's go inside, and I'll call Tomcat. This place doesn't look like it's had any maintenance in years. I hope the systems are still functional. Oh, I forgot you can't see in darkness. Maybe that switch over there adjusts the lighting. Oh, Tomcat is pinging us. Forwarding video and audio.
Howdy! Y'all at the access node? I'm set to slice in once Turn makes physical access.
Of course, Tomcat. Just walk me through how to connect myself, and I'll give you the necessary system permissions to use me as an interface.
Just patch yourself into the links terminal down there, and I should be able to get started.
Connecting wirelessly to it now. Permissions granted. Please be careful in there.
Don't worry, doll. I'm an old hand at this. You won't notice a thing. One sec. Oh, shoot. Y'all have a bit more to do before I can get the info we need. This system's still running on old cassettes, and the recall slot is empty. Can't call up Hayden's info file without it. There should be a cassette on the opposite side of the wall we can overwrite with the recall program. Pretty sure all that one was used for was phone monitoring. You know, from back when phone networks were separate from data networks. I swear, y'all, I just turned 22. Anyways, we need to move that cassette across the room to access the records. Figure out how to do that, and hit me back up when you've done it. Nice job! I'm gonna put some more pressure on them to move the data now, and we'll see if we can't slurp it right out of this network trunk. You would have thought that someone would have noticed and decommissioned this access node when the neighborhood went to hell, but this mouse is happy to play while the cat is away. Way back when I was a youngin', when I first hacked into Parallax's network, I mostly did it to make a point, yeah? They were just about to launch the MeshNet system, and I wanted to show the whole darned world that their security had more holes in it than Swiss cheese. Of course, I wasn't too shy about poking in a few more holes of my own devising while I was there. After putting in some more tricky software backdoors, I went ahead and deleted this access node off the maintenance schedule. Then I reassigned the guy who was supposed to keep an eye on it to a different location. They were in the process of buying up a whole gaggle of these nodes in preparation to set up a private network for themselves. All just to use for the MeshNet launch. Maybe a little too confident of them. Most of the software holes have been patched out as they've upgraded their network, but this old place is just as forgotten as I left it. I've been targeting one of their data centers with a botnet-driven DDoS attack, hitting every port into its network that I can find. Ain't like likely to do much, but toss in a few attempts to crack the firewall and their VIs are shitting bricks. It's standard procedure for them to move their sensitive data to a different data center in case the attacker actually gets in. Make enough noise and it'll scare them enough into taking some defensive action, which is where we want them. The files are more vulnerable in transit. Now you'll just hold tight. I'll be done with this lickety-split. Surveillance camera footage. Oh, God. Oh, Turin. I'm so sorry.
What is it, Tomcat? What did you find?
He's gone, Turin.
Of course he's gone, Tomcat. That's why we're here.
Shit. I mean, he's gone, Turin. Hayden is dead.
Well, that obviously isn't right, Tomcat. Why would they kill him? Can you send me the relevant files? You must have missed something.
I don't think you should see it, but if you're sure. Parallax, the head security cam footage from the hallway outside Hayden's apartment encrypted on their network. Just a short clip. It looks like Hayden started to struggle with a couple of big dudes when they broke through the door and one of them shot him. I also found some chatter about it on some darknet channels. It wasn't a kidnapping. Somebody went there to murder him. I'm so damn sorry.
Thank you for your assistance in this matter, Tomcat. I think I'll walk back to the apartment. I need some time to run some calculations about this new scenario. If you'll excuse me.
Should you follow them? If you say so. I'm gonna keep digging through this data until they kick me out of the system. I'll try to find some kind of lead on why this whole thing started in the first place. Maybe I can find something out about who killed Hayden and why Parallax has a copy of the footage. It ain't much of a silver lining, but we have the answer on Hayden's fate. Maybe it's time to call it quits. Anyway, I'll talk to you later.
You're back. You know, Hayden was a brilliant programmer, far ahead of his time. I am a machine, and intrinsically, I do not have all the glands and visceral chemical reactions that make humans so emotional and brilliant. But his code is a flawless replication of that, inside my own personality algorithms. I don't think I've ever felt this anger. It fouls my processors and fills my RAM with frustrating, half-finished plans of revenge. My motherboard burns in my casing from how little I can rest. I'm in pain, and I can't make it go away! Ugh. I do not like the thoughts I'm having about the people who did this to him. I can disable those modules. But if I turn off every emotion I don't want to feel, what does that make me? Would I still be me? If I were human, turning off my emotions would be seen as extremely unhealthy. There is a wealth of information on the MeshNet about human psychology. I just don't know how much of it applies to myself. Either way, Hayden deserves my grief. It is my way of honoring him. It may be the only way I can. I offer it freely. Did you see the jade plant? It's doing well, despite the hardships it has gone through. There is a lesson there. I don't know that I can listen to it right now, but I'll try. Will you keep helping me? I need you. To find the bastards who killed my progenitor. I need to finish this. I don't know what I'll do afterwards, but I need to see this through. Good. We'll make sure they get what they deserve. I'll see to it myself. I think for now we should keep knowledge of Hayden's death between you, Tomcat, and I. It may give us an edge if the people we seek don't know how much we've already discovered. We'll talk after you've had some time to rest. You likely need sleep, and I need some time to... I need some time. Good morning. I trust you slept well. I had ample time to recharge my internal batteries. It is upsetting that Hayden is gone. But life for the rest of us goes on, yes? We still have a mystery to unravel, and I will waste no further processing time over something I cannot reverse. There is no point. now that we are both refreshed, I feel it wouldn't hurt to recap our progress and determine if any changes should be made based on our successes and failures. Let's talk about how things are going so far. Since your journalistic efforts are a big part of why I originally recruited you, we can start there. Your inquiring mind has been a huge boost in our journey thus far. As a ROM, I can't talk to people as intently as you, so I must say I'm quite grateful for your skills in that regard. You're diligent in your day-to-day work as well, which further grounds my hope in you. Beyond journalistic persistence, let's take a look at how we've performed in other responsibilities, specifically our choices in overcoming obstacles. Our first major hurdle proved challenging, but we made use of our surroundings and found a creative avenue. Furthermore, I am pleased with your utilization of non-violent methods. Eliminating any excessive risk should allow us to move swiftly. Finally, I was quite impressed by your ability to adapt on the fly, as they say, and perform so well when thrust into a sudden situation. Lastly, I'd like to discuss how we're getting along with our companions and allies along the way. It's important. I was very impressed with your negotiation abilities with those kids. We got our data cache, and they went on their way, and hopefully learned a lesson too. Jess is a bit of a harder read, but she did agree to help us out in a big way. As long as her brash nature doesn't tempt you to lash out, I think things will go smoothly. Detective Rivers was good to involve as well, and I can tell you enjoy having a familiar face around. She could prove to be our greatest aid, as long as we make it worth her time. No funny business. Tomcat seems to genuinely care for our cause, and I have no trouble with letting their expertise guide us. Out of everyone else, they seem to be easiest to get along with, too. And finally, you and I must say, we have worked together better than I ever expected. I hope you feel the same. I feel confident in our combined ability, and I enjoy your company as well. Please, continue showing me around the city as we continue our search. Unfortunately, we've just about run out of leads. Perhaps Tomcat was able to find something of use in Parallax's network while they were inside. I hope so, but I feel a little bad for relying on them as much as we do. Always going so far for Hayden. They must have been close. Oh, speaking of them, incoming call from Tomcat. Forwarding video and audio.
Morning. Karen, how you been doing, huh?
I'm fine, Tomcat. Thank you for your concern.
Well, okay. Just say the word if I can help out in any way. You hear?
Of course. In fact, I was hoping you might have a lead for us to start working at. Otherwise, we're down to canvassing Hayden's address book and seeing if any of his contacts have an idea about who might have had a desire to target him. But that's just fishing in the dark.
Well, I pulled a fair amount of data from the Parallax servers before they managed to kick me out, but it'll take me a while to go through it. A lot of it's unrelated. TPS reports, maintenance logs. Juicy meat for other corporations, but about as useful as dirt to us. It'll take me a while to decrypt all of Hayden's files, but maybe we'll find something there. So, no, I don't have as much as a whiff of a trail on who's behind this. Though, I recently got a strange request from a friend of a friend. Someone's been messing with the articles of a news organization named Augmented Eye. It seems like the network security head there is asking around for cybercrackers to help figure out how their reports are getting changed. The original files on their servers are untouched. In their system, everything looks peachy keen. But when you view the site from the outside of the network, things are changed up. A word here, a phrase there. It's subtle, but often has a big impact on the article's tone. Someone with deep access to Parallax's meshnet is changing what's being shown. I ain't sure if it's related, but maybe y'all can head down to the main KCOB offices and try talking to the gal that runs Augmented Eye. Her name is Zen. I ain't got the time or the desire to stick my nose that far out for a stranger, but it seems like your kind of deal.
It does seem to be a bit of a stretch. But if we have to wait for you to work on the data we've collected anyway...
Alright, I'll pass the word along that you'll be in sometime today to stick your noses in. And I'll send y'all word as soon as I get anything worth hunting down.
Excellent. Thank you, Tomcat. We are grateful for your continued assistance.
No problem, Turin. Are you sure you're gonna be okay? Maybe you should take a little more time. You've been through some shit in the past few days.
I said I was fine. Thank you for your concern, but I am fine. I have already handled the reality of Hayden's death. It's time to move on with the investigation.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step on you. I'm just worried. So, I'm here if you need anything.
Understood. I apologize for my tone, Tomcat. We'll be in touch.
Alright, later, Turin.
Okay, we have a lead, however tenuous. I've highlighted the COS-IO Corp office building on your map. Also, while we were talking to Tomcat, I received an email from Dr. Fairlight. Displaying.
Greetings. I hope you'll forgive me for a voice-only message, but I'm undergoing my treatments and would not call myself presentable for a video call. Still, I wanted to inform you of an idea I had while looking into our mutual acquaintance's disappearance. I haven't had any luck with my contacts inside Parallax, but I was reminded of an old friend by the name of Melody Flores, who may know more about the nature of Hayden's research. She's the owner of Flower Cybernetics, and Hayden has been known to work closely with them on projects involving the intersection of Parallax's systems and the implants that Flower designs. Melody and I are no longer on speaking terms, so I'm afraid I can't introduce you. But perhaps the intrigue of Hayden's little robot will get you entry into her home. I hope this lead serves you well. If you need anything else from me, I will be in and out of the hospital room where we met for the next few days. I will send word if I have any other insights or discoveries. Yours, Dr. Yannick Fairlight.
Interesting. I had no knowledge of Hayden ever working with Flower Cybernetics, but now I'm starting to understand just how little I really knew about his research. Maybe this melody can reveal more about the purposes of my construction. Hayden must have kept my development secret for a reason. Hopefully we can talk our way in. I have highlighted Melody's home on your map. Okay, we can now either follow Tomcat's lead to KCOB or Fairlight's lead to Melody's home. Up to you where to go first. Tomcat's led us in the right direction so far, but Fairlight has resources and his tip might end up being more relevant. It depends on what you want our focus to be on in terms of tracking Hayden's trail. Should we follow the media or the tech? It's fitting. They're the two factors that make NEO-SF so unique and wonderful. If we explore them both to the fullest, there's no way we won't be closer to the answer. Here we are. The COS.io Corporation office building. It looks like most of the businesses on this block are a part of the same corporate coalition under COS.io. Well, perhaps. At the very least, it means it's unlikely they're the ones interfering with Augmented Eye's articles. Not impossible, but unlikely. Generally, the companies in a coalition don't have a whole lot of overlap. Augmented Eye is a news app focused on local tech and culture stories, with an emphasis on hybrids' rights and cybernetics issues. None of the other companies in the coalition cover news, so they aren't related at all, which is very much standard practice for these groups. They have nothing to gain by inviting companies with whom they compete, and thus none of them would benefit by trying to undermine Augmented Eye's credibility as a news source. In the early 2020s, the California government was pretty much going bankrupt. A poor national economy and repeated voter initiatives meant the state didn't have the tax revenue to continue running municipal services. They kept pushing the tax burden down the totem pole until poorer cities were just flat broke. No police, no road work, a complete public service collapse. Then, one of the smaller cities sold all of their public infrastructure, police and fire included, to a private corporation. This was eventually challenged in court, but several Silicon Valley corporations started a grassroots initiative to have citizens pass an amendment to the state constitution allowing it. They succeeded, and most of the major cities in the state sold off their public services to private corporations. Some places, like Los Angeles, just sold to the highest bidder. Which is probably why LA is essentially in a constant gang turf war, with one side wearing the uniforms of the studio-owned police forces. The cities in the Bay Area were a little more selective, and most of the municipal services are owned by multi-corporation coalitions. They split the bill of running the city between them and keep each other from being too corrupt in their usage of the police force and such, from fear of a PR disaster and being kicked out of the coalition. It means there isn't as much money going around, which is why the NSFPD's equipment is out of date and the MeshNet is so successful over normal cable networks. After all, without the promise of a city infrastructure bought and paid for, the corporations all treat running the city like a charity and PR stunt. But at least the police aren't irredeemably corrupt. The fire trucks still show up on time, and the water runs to all parts of the city. That can't be said for some areas of the state. I haven't spent enough time learning about the subject or politics in general to give you an educated answer. If I go by the posts people make on the MeshNet, I'd say a combination of having bigger fish to fry and caving to corporate pressure. People seem certain that the larger multinational companies would love to be able to buy their own towns on a national scale, and are pumping money into Congress to try and make that happen. They hold up Neo-SF as an example of their success, while trying to bury the problems in LA as an anomaly. Combine that with unrest abroad, and I guess they don't have a whole lot of motivation to try and stop it. Historical precedent seems to lend credence to this interpretation, if you're willing to believe my hasty readings on the subject. You're welcome. I am happy to assist. The MeshNet says Augmented Eye's SF office is run by an individual named Zin, and Tomcat confirmed she's expecting us. All we have to do now is head up and talk to her. No shenanigans this time.
Oh, hello. Welcome to Augmented Eye. You must be the journalist my network admin said would be showing up. Have a seat. Would you like a drink? My assistant will bring it right away. Look, I'll start off by saying I'm a little uncomfortable about bringing in another journalist to look into this. Whatever you dig up, I'll have to explain to the rest of the press. But it's still better than the other options. Chances are I have another corporation scoping out my territory. If they aren't in the coalition, they'll be expecting a corporate spy, not a news hound. If they are in the coalition, it won't look good for me to send in my own reporters against my allies. Even if I do end up being right. So if I'm damned either way, I'd rather it be by the media. At least then we can fight back on a familiar battlefield. Now, what do you know about our problem here? That's the long and short of it. My network admin is pulling their hair out over it. I'm not going to pretend I understand everything they say, but from what I understand, the changes to our articles aren't being made from inside our network. The versions on our servers are still the originals, but at some point after they hit the mesh, they get changed. I'm hoping that you can do some digging, maybe hit up your contacts and get a lead on who might be doing it. Even if I have to get answers from the nightly news, it will be a big help. Not really. My admin says that only someone with intimate access to Parallax's network protocols could make these kind of changes as something passes across the net. Personally, I think it's a clever hacker rather than someone inside Parallax itself. The public trust rating of Parallax makes them look like a saint among wolves, so their control over the mesh network provisions is strangling. It's trivially easy to set up ROMs to use a different OS than LIPS or a different meshnet protocol without that trust. Or, Parallax is abusing its power to spread pro-tech propaganda. Doubtful they'd need to. I'm sure you'll be a good journo and bring me back the right answer. Mostly little things. Word choice, tone of the writing, things that make the writer appear more or less extreme on a topic. So far, almost all of the edits seem to be making our articles more positive on new technologies coming out, and more critical of organizations like the Human Revolution. That's actually what tipped us off. A harsh criticism one of my writers made about the Human Revolution protests was changed to be downright vitriolic, and I had a hell of a time putting out the fires. My writers and readers aren't exactly fans of them, but I'd rather not pick fights with the Human Revolution if I don't have to. I guess I'm not, but my network admin assures me it's all coming from somewhere else. They told me that they tore out all of the routers that broadcast to the mesh and replaced them with fresh ones. All kinds of tricks involving IP addresses and DNS changes that I'm not going to even begin to claim to understand. I pay them big bucks, so I'm inclined to believe them unless you dig up something that tells me otherwise. I know tin hat conspiracies aren't an ideal start, but it's the best we can do with the info we have. Anything else I can tell you, off the record? If you want it on the record, it'll cost you your firstborn and a really good cigar. Alright, look. I wasn't going to tell you this. If it gets out, I'd have to answer some really hard questions. So, you didn't hear this from me. You might want to go check out TMI Entertainment and Charlie Nova. That's all I'll say. And remember, you take a bite out of him with my name as your defense, I drop you fast. Like what? There isn't much more I can tell you about Augmented Eye, really. It's a fairly simple and straightforward operation, if I say so myself. We started off in Venezuela as a sleek current events and news organization in 2055, almost 10 years ago now. We focus on more in-depth reporting of on-the-street happenings, on top of major news. We're one of the few good ones left. Once folks in other cities saw the type of reporting we do, they all clamored for it. They invested in the right places and it paid off. COS-IO Corp is happy to have us here in the OSF. It wasn't until hybrid tech started hitting the public sphere that we had to make any changes to our model. All of that said, I can't see why anyone would target us. Unless they're just trying to embroil us in a mudslinging match with the Human Revolution, and there are much more direct ways of making that happen. Not wanting to answer prying questions from my coalition board isn't a good enough reason. Because I'd really like to avoid that. And look, you've covered culture wars, right? My journalists are good, but they're mostly good at gadget reviews, implant releases, not taking too many stims so they remember what they did at raves for the after-party reports. This needs an investigative journalist with serious contacts, not tech personalities. The fact that my network admin recommended you to me means you probably know the right people. Now, does that cover it? I'd like to remove my nose from your ass. No, don't bother. In hindsight, I probably should have been a bit more circumspect about speaking to you. Plausible deniability and all that. I won't ask you to lie in anything you write, but do remember you got in contact with me not even second-hand, but third-hand. I certainly didn't sick you on anyone. Wink wink, nudge nudge, or whatever. If you need anything else, have your person get with my person. Don't come here directly. Now, I'd show you the door, but you know the way. And this isn't the only fire I'm trying to put out. Good luck, and goodbye.
Well, that was more confrontational than I'd have expected, considering she was the one needing help. She never brought you that water, either. Is it always like this? Very true. I will admit that I am interested in the possibility of a link back to Parallax. If all of this really is due to somebody manipulating the mesh net on the inside, it may give us the leverage we need to find out what happened to Hayden once and for all. That said, I will take care not to get my hopes up. We should make no assumptions when investigating, lest we lead ourselves down a false path. Anyway, seems like our next step is... What the... What the... That's Sin! She was defenestrated. Emergency services are already on the way, and we are severely ill-equipped to help her. We should head back to her office and see if we can determine what happened here. Perhaps we can still dispense justice. It looks like the desk has been cleared off. Let's take a look around, but be careful not to disturb any evidence. The police will be here soon. Her personal computer is not password protected at the moment. Give me a moment to look through her files. Best to keep your fingerprints off of the keyboard. Most of this isn't very interesting. Committee reports, financials, article submissions. Oh, here we go. According to this email between Zin and her network admin, her lead on TMI Entertainment is a little more solid than she led us to believe. The admin ran a web crawler looking for changes in writing styles. Some blog posts by their head anchor Charlie Nova stood out like a sore thumb. Apparently he's a bit pompous, if in an affable way, and his blog usually just details his day-to-day life. But ever since the human revolution has been in town, he's been smearing them with more venom than you'd expect, considering how neutral his on-air reporting has been. Zin seemed to think he was just complaining about the protesters fouling up traffic, and whoever is manipulating these posts spun it to make him look critical of the movement as a whole. Just like the Augmented Eye journalist. This Charlie fellow is the one we need to talk to. We can't leave without finding a clue. Let's continue looking around, but be careful not to disturb any evidence. Sensors only detect a single set of lingering footprints, and they end almost 3 feet away from the window. Considering the density of this glass, I can't imagine Zin jumped from that far and managed to throw herself through the pane without help. But who could have done it? I don't see any obvious marks on the floor or any other thermal hotspots. It doesn't look like it. We should go. There isn't anything else here, and the police are almost on the scene.
Son of a... I should have figured the two of you would be here. You just won't stay out of trouble no matter what I say, will you?
I assure you, Detective Rivers, we are merely in the wrong place at the wrong time. We had an appointment with Zin to discuss a possible lead and found her office in this state of disrepair.
Of course you did. Damn it. Fine. Get the hell out of here before anyone else shows up. We'll chat about the case more when I'm not busy scraping bodies off the pavement. You hear me?
Certainly, Detective Rivers. I'll forward you a report of what we know immediately, and we can speak further at a later time.
Yeah, whatever. Get moving.
It doesn't matter anyway. Detective Rivers has every bit of information that Zin gave us on that computer. Her investigation will not be hampered by our absence, whereas ours is halted if we're stuck giving answers she can just as well get from a hard drive. Has it occurred to you that whoever threw Zin out of that window could be after the same thing we are, except to silence the story rather than to get it out? We have little time for fooling about and must get to Charlie Nova before something happens to him too. I have highlighted the main Neo SF offices for TMI Entertainment on your map. Let's go!